recording. Hello everyone and welcome to Bracket Breakpoint, a Goliath Gauntlet tournament special brought to you by The Combat Chain. The Goliath Gauntlet is a tournament that will be airing on 983 Media starting on Friday. That has assembled some of the best and most prominent players in the game today in a winner-take-all tournament for $2,000 cash in prizes. I'm your host, Patrick Shaw, and today we've assembled some of the foremost experts in Flesh and Blood bracketology to help us break down the matchups and their picks for winners in this illustrious tournament. Let me introduce you to the panel. First, from the Fresh and Bloods podcast, the one and only Tommy Fresh. Tommy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Pat, and I'm glad to be here. You know, when I saw this bracket, something inside me was awoken, and I'm here to figure out what the hell is going on with this Goliath Gauntlet. Happy to be here at the Bracket Breakpoint.
Thanks for coming on. Now, from the Flesh and Pod podcast, we have the whole crew here. First, let's introduce Logan Peterson to the show. Logan, how you doing?
If I was any better, Pat, it would be a felony, and I'd be inciting my attorneys to come and bail me out of jail under some auspice if I didn't do anything wrong. But no, I am doing well. I'm glad to be here. Happy to be a part of this panel of experts in all things Flesh and Blood.
Nothing but prestige here on the Bracket Breakpoint. Next to Logan is his illustrious co-host and a gentleman with fine hair and a nice fuzzy beard that I just want to scratch. Jordan Kennedy, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Pat, for having me. I am excited to be here. I play fantasy sports with a lot of the bozos in this call, so I couldn't let the listener be led astray from some of the analysis you'll hear. So I just wanted to make sure that the listener did get something right out of this call at the end of the day.
And thank you for being that anchor that we really, really need.
He's an anchor, all right.
He's just weighing us all down. Following Jordan is my better half, Adam Filipchuk from the Combat Chain. Adam, are you moving? There we go. He's got his drink. He is active. He's blinking. He is with us. How are the allergies today?
We're doing good. I feel like I can give you a no sneeze guarantee.
Excellent. How are you feeling about the Bracket Breakpoint?
Good. I'm excited to be here. I'm ready to talk about the Goliath Gauntlet, and I think there's some juicy matchups to dive into. So I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. And last but certainly not least, the legend herself. We have never had the privilege until just now, except we met for like 3 seconds in person in New Jersey. But it is so glad to have Abbie Kennedy on the show. In this, we're talking the same talking. We're breathing the same digital air. Welcome.
Yes, thanks for having me. You know, we had to save the best for last. And as the winner of the Pro Tour Fantasy Draft, I wanted to make sure that I came on and spoke some truth that everybody else would probably get wrong.
Very good. What is your record so far in the Fantasy Football League?
I think I'm 4-1.
Ooh.
I don't know. That could be a different league. Don't quote me on that. I'm gonna look now.
Can we get a fact check?
Yeah, all right. It's already starting.
I'm fact checking myself.
That's fair.
So we're going to take a look at the Goliath Gauntlet bracket, and through the magic of post-production, there it is. We're going to start on the east side of the bracket and look at the seeding for the east side of the tournament. Now, of the competitors, we have determined that their seeding 1 through 8 is number 1 seed, Matt Folks of the UK, followed by Pablo Pintor from Spain. DM Armada, number 3 seed, coming from the US. Red Zone, Tarek Patel, number 4 out of Canada, sometimes. Tyler Horsepool, number 5 out of the US. Red Zone Rogue, the 6th seed, coming out of the U.S. as well, topping Ethan Van Sant at number 7 and rounding the bottom at 8, Michael Fang. What do we think of the seeding in order, Tommy? What do we think of this?
So I look at this and I'm a little confused. That's for sure. I mean, there's a lot of confusion going on with this whole bracket, I think, and among the community. I think I can speak for them. First of all, New Jersey player Michael Fang at 8. I mean, what are we doing here? I don't know what goes on in the UK, and I don't think Matt Folks deserves to be anywhere near number 1. You got Pintor at 2. I mean, he's arguably the best. So I don't really know what's going on here. And I'm interested to see how it kind of shakes out because I have my eyes on Ethan Van Sant for sure.
Very good, very good. Adam Filipchuk, when you see 1 through 8 on the East, which one's one seed that picks out for? I'm sorry, one seed that stands out for you.
Once again, Pintor number 2. You could argue he's just number 1 right off the bat. You could even argue Horsepool could be a higher number as well. So there's a couple there for me that are lower than I'd expect.
Jordan, Red Zone Rogue, the real deal or smoke and mirrors?
It's smoke and mirrors, Pat. I have to say that this 6 seed must be a conversion error from like metric to freedom units somehow. I don't particularly understand how great commentator, great content creator, doesn't deserve to be above Michael Fang, who's 4th or 5th in the world. So I'm a little confused as well. Tommy's often confused, and I agree with him in this case. I don't know why I was mean to Tommy.
I'm sorry.
Very good, very good. Let's go into the matchups themselves. Let's start on the first matchup. The East match number 1. It pairs the number 1 seed Matt Folks versus the 8 seed Michael Fang. Abby, tell me a little bit about Matt Folks.
All right, I'm going to spit some Matt Folks facts at you right now. Number 1, Pro Tour Lil Champ. Do I need to go further? I will, but do I need to?
Yes.
2021 UK National Champion. Ranked currently number 2 in ELO. What else do we need? He made Promise of Penny Briar. The man is a genius.
Absolutely. Excellent. I'm a folksaholic, a folksamaniac, whatever we want to call it. I'm on that side of the water.
You're all folked up on folks.
I am. You got me all folked up. All right, Jordan, tell me about Michael Fang.
Yeah, Michael Fang is your 2021 Calling Cincinnati champion, and he was a runner-up at the U.S. National Championship in 2021. Michael Fang is a data-driven player. Big fan. As a Sabermetrics fan myself, love that Michael Fang is a data-driven player. Succeeds at the highest levels of Flesh and Blood. Owns his own store. Has a YouTube channel. Tests along some of the best players in the world. Some of which are competitors in this tournament. So like the edge he has. And while there's no dead weight in this tournament, Michael is literally the 5th ranked player by constructed ELO in this tournament in the world. So I have a hard time ever writing him off. And I like his chances throughout the whole tournament, not just this first round.
Excellent. Well, with that being said, let's round the bases here and take our picks. Tommy, who do you got, Folks versus Fang?
Well, I got Fang here all the way, and I know there's going to be a lot of talk about ELO here, right? This whole video, right? The only ELO I know is Electric Light Orchestra, so I got Fang going all the way here. I haven't beaten Folks right out the gates.
I can't disagree with you anymore. I have Folks taking this matchup, and spoiler alert on my bracket, he may be making all the way to the finals for me. Logan, who you got?
We can change Tommy's name to Stan at any point now, as he's all about the Fang train and also Mansan on Levia. But in this case, he is absolutely correct. This is Michael Fang's party, and we're all just a part of it in this matchup. not to go into anything that's too controversial here, but there are some edges that Mr. Folks might be able to get in live play they may not be able to get when we're playing online. So I'm going to give this to the data-driven player, the guy with the savvy for the numbers and the plays, and give it to Mr. Michael Fang himself for this victory.
You besmirched my man. We will have our vengeance.
I fucked your man up.
Adam, who you got?
You know what? He's friend of the pod. Fowkes. I've got Fowkes all over on this one.
Yeah, boy, we got to stick together. The chain is strong.
He's been on a tear lately. And yeah, no, I think he's going to keep spitting fire.
Abbie.
Well, I guess you can just move me off of Flesh and Pod and onto the combat chain because I have Matt Folks taking this one home.
You know what? Three's company. Come aboard.
Yeah.
Come aboard.
I'll have ya.
Excellent. Let's move on quickly to East match number 2. One of the more polarizing matchups in the tournament, I dare say, the 3-seed DM Armada versus the 6-seed Red Zone Rogue. The battle of the creators. Self, what do you have to say about DM Armada? Well, Self, DM Armada is a prolific content creator and new friend of the combat chain. See our interview with him on the latest episode of the pod. #shameless plug. Stephen Cookus is looking to leverage his substantial experience from calling some of the biggest games in the world into some victories against the players he's observed in their biggest moments. He's a known Kano aficionado, but we'll see what he brings to the table in this tournament. Adam, tell me a little bit about Red Zone Rogue.
I mean, what's there to say? He's been there since the beginning. Like, everyone knows who he is. He's done commentary for multiple callings. The guy knows his flesh and blood inside and out, and I think that can give him a strong edge here in this matchup.
Very good. Let's talk picks. Abbie, who do you got in the Armada RZR matchup?
So I am taking Armada on this one. I think watching some of these key plays when he's doing commentary is just knowledge in the bank that he's going to use.
Adam.
Despite thinking that Red Zone Rogue does know this game quite well, I do think DM Armada has the edge here. He is a wealth of knowledge and has made it very, very clear many times over. So I am picking Stephen Cookus for this one.
Jordan.
If this were a Force of Will box opening contest, I would take Red Zone Rogue, but it's a Flesh and Blood money match. I'm going to take DM Armada.
Logan.
We stand Stephen Cookus in this household, so let's take the American Flake, Stephen Cookus, DM Armada himself, for the victory here.
I am picking Red Zone Rogue out of this matchup. I think there is more than meets the eye. He was a featured alpha drafter in New Jersey, and I think he is very much in the vein of Isaac Crute, a silent, awkward assassin, and he's going to prove it himself against DM Armada. Tommy.
My thoughts here, I think that we're going to see Cookus take this one home, but let's be real. They are excellent content creators, and they are in a field of excellent players, the best in the world. So expect to see them on next season of Bracket Breakpoint.
Absolutely. Moving on to the third match in the East, we have the 4-seed Tarek Patel versus the 5-seed Tyler Horsepool. Probably one of the more anticipated matchups of the entire tournament. Jordan, tell me about this matchup in the individual players.
Yeah, I'm addicted to Tarek Patel as a player, as a fan of the game. I really like him. He is the first 2-time national champion, winning the United States' first national championship, and then switched his federation over to Canada and took that down this year. Access to the best playtesting team in the world via Team Dragon Shield, and he has a lot of resources for that. It's hard to count him out in any match, mostly because of the way that he thinks about the game, and his logical approach. His draft breakdown from Pro Tour Lille was fascinating. You ever hear somebody talk about the game and then realize how bad you are at it? Mm-hmm. That's what happens when I listen to Tarek talk about the game. I realize that I have no idea what I'm talking about. He's on a bit of a heater lately. 42nd ranked player in the world by constructed elo, so definitely hard to count him out, which I think is an under ranking. I think that we could expect to see that come up as well. His opponent, Tyler Horspool, you learned his name when he won the 2021 Calling in Las Vegas with Prism. Came onto the competitive scene only after, I think, 2 months that he took down a Calling, coming from Magic the Gathering world, and he's maintained that energy and is currently the 23rd ranked player in the world. I like Tarek Patel in this one, but man, it's going to be close because both of these guys are just absolute studs in the constructed world, and I'm nervous about the outcome of this one because I don't know who's going to take it down.
Hey, arguably, whoever wins this has a solid chance at taking the whole thing. Abby, who you got?
Nothing against Tyler, but it's hard to count out a back-to-back national champion. So I'm going to go with Mr. Patel.
Adam.
I'm a Canadian boy. I gotta stick with my allies here. I've got Tarek on this one.
Logan.
I think my colleague's analysis here is spot on, and great job by you in figuring this one out for us. I think that in this case, the pony puddle will piddle, and we're going to give this one to Tarek 2 belts.
I do think that this is a super close matchup, but I cannot discount a literal doctor out of the opening round of a tournament like this. And I don't know if you've seen him with like a muscle shirt on, but he keeps himself in shape too. That's just discipline. So Tarek taking this match for me. Tommy.
I think I got Patel as well. He did spend some time in New Jersey, so I'm bound to pick him. But I don't think Tyler's any slouch either, so it should be a great game, but it's Patel all the way.
Excellent. Moving on to the last match in the East. Some might say a bit of a lopsided matchup on paper. We have the 2-seed Pablo Pintor versus the 7-seed Ethan Van Sant. Tommy, Pablo Pintor, what do you got?
What is there left to say about Pablo Pintor that hasn't already been said? So, he was the winner of Pro Tour New Jersey, which very exciting for me. New Jersey. It keeps coming up. And he is arguably the best player in the world. I think some folks have him as the best. And I think that his career as one of the best in the world is just starting. And hey, the Goliath Gauntlet could be just another notch in his belt at this point.
Adam, what we got on Ethan Van Sant?
Yeah, Ethan Van Sant, better known as Mansant, the Levia aficionado, arguably the best Levia player in the world. We've seen him do decently well on Levia, and we've actually more recently seen him stray away from Levia as well. I think his best finish at this point has been a battle-hardened top 8 on 5. So I think Ethan is, though people are going to say this one weighs heavily in favor of Pablo, I think Ethan still could bring up some surprises in this match.
Tommy, I don't know if you heard Adam tell you a big F you there, but you are not the best Levia in the world. But who do you have in this matchup? Are we going to do a clean sweep of picks here?
Well, I would never claim to be anywhere as good as Ethan. And, I was just singing the praises of Pablo, and Pablo is an excellent player, but I'm taking Ethan. Ethan's taking this one down. I think he's going to the finals, actually. We'll see.
Oh, Tommy and Ethan together, the X Factor. I cannot get behind that. Pablo is one of the best players in the world, and I'm sure he knows whatever matchup he is going to be brought to the table, and he is going to win that matchup. Easy for me, Pablo. Logan.
There's a 65% chance that Ethan suits up Levia for this, making his chances of winning about 10% according to Steiner math. We're going to go ahead and give this to Pablo Pintor, potentially the dominant barnyard animal of Flesh and Blood as we currently stand.
Excellent. Jordan?
I'm going to take Pintor on this one just like everybody else, but if there is a bracket buster on the East half, I think it is the Van Sant pick over Pintor. If he can get the pet pick, the pet deck rather, in Levia and just crush it, this could be your bracket buster.
That is a very good point. Adam, what we got?
Yeah, I gotta say, I've got Pintor in this one as well. I think it's an uphill battle for Ethan at the end of the day.
Abbie.
I am a Pablo Pintor stan, so I think everybody that knows me knows that my money is on Pablo in this round.
Sounds like if you're a degenerate gambler out there, you might want to take the 7 seed. But we digress. Let's move on now to the Western Conference. We have another 8 players here. We're going to go down 1 through 8. Number 1 seed, Yuki Lee Bender out of Canada. Number 2 seed, Brendan Patrick from the U.S. Number 3, Michael Hamilton. Number 4, Isaac Crute. Number 5, Hayden Dale. Number 6 is Eric Lonnquist, DOA. Number 7 is Majin Bay. And 8 is Matt Rogers from New Zealand. What are we thinking, Adam, about our Western Conference here?
I'm excited. There's some big matches that I'm looking forward to in this one. Like right off the bat, Crute and Dale. I think that's going to be an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. Bender and Rogers once again. That is going to be one heck of a match. So, in that, both this entire tournament has some stacked names in it, but this conference is definitely one to keep an eye on.
It certainly is. And let's dive into these matchups right now. The first matchup in the West, we have the number 1 seed, Yuki Lee Bender, versus the 8 seed, Matt Rogers. The topsy-turvy world, the 1 versus 8. Tommy, what do we have on Yuki Lee Bender?
So, if you know Flesh and Blood, you know Yuki Lee Bender. Now, she was the Canadian national champ last year. She made the top 8 this year. And undeniably a absolute Terminator when playing this game. And I really love her at number 1, to be honest. And I would look out for a serious run from her.
I couldn't agree more. Abbie, tell me about Matt Rogers. I don't know if we've heard of him before.
I certainly hadn't before this. Matt Rogers, inaugural New Zealand national champion, 2021 Calling Auckland champion, current New Zealand national champion. So we have a second one. He's on Team Dragon Shield. He describes his life that it completely revolves around all aspects of the TCG industry. The man is amazing when it comes to this game, and he was also a former member of Team Possum in the Pro Tour draft.
Excellent. Matt Rogers, future guest of the Combat Chain on the last week of October. Another shameless plug. This is my privilege as moderator. Let's get into the picks for the first match of the West. Abbie, who do we have? Yuki versus Rogers.
I'm going to have to take another 2-belt champion, and I'm going to go with Matt Rogers.
Whew. Adam.
You know I got to go with my homegrown Canadian girl. I'm going with Yuki Lee Bender on this one.
Jordan.
Yuki Lee Bender, but this one's a coin flip for me.
Logan.
I think it's all been determined at this point in time that the best players in New Zealand actually work for LSS. And at this point in time, due to some calling results that we are all aware of. And I believe that this one goes to the original Captain Canada, an assassin in her own right, Yuki Lee Bender.
Ooh. I do have Rogers in the genuine upset over Yuki Lee Bender here in this one. Tommy, what do you have?
Bender here. I think that just in the elements, she's going to completely destroy anyone in her path.
Absolutely. When we talk about the greatest minds in Flesh and Blood, we have heard a lot of Hamiltons, a lot of Pintors. Bender is right there with them. Let's go on to match number 2. Speaking of great minds, we have the 3 seed Michael Hamilton versus the 6 seed Eric Lonnquist. Tommy, tell me about all our dear friend Michael Hamilton.
Well,
no
at
bias
this
here
point-
on the bracket break point.
None. No.
we have Michael Hamilton, who is a multiple calling champ, battle hardened champ, U.S. national champ, and on top of that, the sweetest person I've ever met. Just an absolute sweetheart. And, well, you know, it's a coin flip to you and Logan, him and Logan. But all that aside, this guy understands this game on a different level than I think maybe anyone on this whole bracket. And yeah, I think he's really gonna show us some great stuff.
Excellent. Abbie, Eric Lundqvist might not be familiar to some Flesh and Blood players, but he's probably familiar to Flake. Tell us about Eric Lundqvist.
All right, so Eric, aka Doa, is an esports commentator.
Did I already say it wrong? Did I say DOA? Sorry,
You did.
Doa. Sorry. Well, guess what? You're gonna be DOA. I don't know what to tell you.
So, he's an esports commentator, StarCraft, Overwatch. Currently, he does the North American Rainbow Six Esports League. Newer to Flesh and Blood, and he's definitely going to have a tough round one going up against Michael Hamilton. But having somebody that can think that fast with all the commentary, I think it just gives people an edge. You're constantly having to immediately see what's happening and react. And that kind of knowledge, as soon as you start looking at it, really helps you in those moments.
Let us talk about picks. Tommy, who do you have in the Lundqvist-Hamilton matchup?
No, I don't want to insult DOA here or DOA or whatever.
We are
But
insulting
this-
Jordan every time we say it.
Every time.
This is Hamilton's bracket to win, and it's quite the feat, and it would be an incredible bracket buster on this side of the bracket.
This matchup seems tailor-made for Hamilton and Pablo Pintor to meet each other in the finals. Lundqvist will be DOA, and Hamilton will move on. Logan.
There you go.
Doa, I'm sorry, my friend. Michael Hamilton's a shark, and you are bait. If there's anything, if Pablo Pintor as a 2 seed is a crime, Michael Hamilton as a 3 seed is an apocalypse. And we are talking about the single most advanced mind in this game, in my opinion. As far as a holistic approach goes, he is top 5 elo in both constructed and limited. Let's just go ahead and say that Michael Hamilton's got this one.
Jordan, defend your man.
I can't in this one, unfortunately. I wish StarCraft skills translated over to card games, but they don't. I looked up some ELO rankings before this call. Doa is ranked 6,517th in the world.
Close.
My ELO is garbage, and I have better ELO than that. And Hamilton is world number 1, so I'm going to take Hamilton in this one.
Adam.
You stole my joke, Pat. I was gonna make the DOA joke, but nonetheless, I've got Hamilton in this one.
Very good. Abbie.
Yeah, same. Definitely Hamilton here. Eric, welcome to the community. Sorry that you got paired with him first round.
Good luck, dude.
GG's. Now we go from the lopsided one to the tingly one here. Match number 3 in the West, we have the 4 seed Isaac Crute, the silent assassin himself and newest member of Team Dragon Shield, versus the 5 seed Hayden Dale. Logan, what can you tell me about the short in stature but big in ruthless aggression Isaac Crute?
Isaac Crute. If Yuki Lee Bender is a Terminator, Isaac Crute's the T-1000. He is coming at you, guns blazing, saying nothing, marching inexorably towards a tide of destroying your corpse and not feeling any remorse whatsoever. This man knows all of the angles. None of them are obtuse. All of them are acute. You will never see him coming, and you will be worse for it. Ask Matt DeMarco. He'll tell you. You also have to remember that his Twitter feed is one of the most amusing things you'll read because it's all one sentence nothings. Top 8 at the first Flesh and Blood Pro Tour. Hashtag Fab Pro Tour. Wow, the excitement is dripping off of this tweet. You can tell he's into it. He has one from an arena show where it's I'm sorry, Luis Salvato. He wasn't sorry. We all know that this is a remorseless killing machine, and he is here to claim the Goliath Gauntlet.
Amazing. Adam, tell me about Hayden Dale.
All right, Hayden Dale, one of the members of Arsenal Pass. He's a decorated guy. He's got a calling win. He's got Australia Nationals win. The man knows his way around Flesh and Blood. That being said, Hayden Dale can go on hot and cold streaks. You know, we've seen between his first calling win and his Nationals win, he didn't really put up any major results between there. So I think this one's going to come down to, if Hayden Dale can show up on his good note, he can definitely take down Isaac Crute, no problem.
Very much a what have you done for me lately Hayden Dale moment. Let's go into the picks. Abby, who do you got in this nail biter?
All right, I'm going to say 2 true facts. 1, Hayden Dale, smoke show. 2, he's winning this round.
Whew, I like it. Adam.
Isaac Crute's a Canadian boy. I got to go with Isaac on this one.
Your tribalism is showing almost as bad as Tommy's New Jersey tribalism. Jordan.
You know, it's kind of fun when like Canadians are tribalistic. When Americans do it, it's terrifying. So I'm just happy to see some healthy patriotism for once. I would take Isaac Crute as well. This one's a toss up. It can make or break your bracket depending on how far you have either of them going. But I've seen Crute play games, man. That guy is an assassin. Hayden Dale spends too much time at the tanning bed. I think he's actually that naturally good looking. I don't think he dances. I just think he's naturally hot. Yeah.
His skin does seem kind of pale for one who might use the tanning bed. Logan, defend your man.
I, for one, welcome our robot overlords and Stan Skynet in this household. So we're going to go ahead and take Isaac Crute, the T1000, to win this one.
Oh man, I tell you what, my bracket is either going to be the only perfect one or it's going way off. I've got Hayden Dale for one reason, because I want the next matchup that he will face. And we'll get into that later on. But I am picking Hayden Dale specifically because of that. Tommy, who do you got?
This is an interesting one. It is the hottest person in Flesh and Blood versus the scariest. And I think beauty will prevail, and I'm taking Hayden Dale.
Hayden Dale, you are the object of our gratification and nothing more. We're going to move on to the last match in the West here. We have the 2 seed Brendan Patrick versus the 7 seed Majin Bay. Let's learn a little bit more about Brendan Patrick. Brendan Patrick is one of the pioneers of the Flesh and Blood competitive play, playing it at its earliest stages, even traveling across the world to play in New Zealand before most people knew what the game was. He's one half of Arsenal Pass alongside fellow competitor Hayden Dale. He is a highly regarded competitive player with a mixed on-camera record, which may play a factor because this game is going to be streamed. He's known to favor Briar in major competition, but also has a love for Kano, as shown by his notorious pivot to him in Pro Tour New Jersey. He is set to make the big jump to casting starting at Worlds, but first he is looking to beat some of the competitors he'll be commentating for here in the Goliath Gauntlet. Logan, what do we have on Majin Bay and his blonde streaks?
Majin Bay has an unreal resume. He's a world top 16. He's a seasonal champion. He has been ranked number 1 in North America. Now, granted, these are all Legends of Runeterra stats, but that's not the point. The point is that we need Majin Bay to win this so that the next round, if Hayden Dale were to also succeed, can be a walk-off in style of Zoolander between the 2 most attractive individuals we can possibly put on this bracket. Also, Caleb is a wonderful human being. Got to spend some time with him in Las Vegas at Top Golf. We shared some towers of beer, but he is a very sneaky good player who has not necessarily put up the numbers you want to see in Flesh and Blood, but has put up the numbers elsewhere. And as we can see with some of these other people who have done well in other games, those skills can translate at times, especially in big spots. So do not count him out in this matchup.
Majin Bey, arguably the most disrespected player given his actual talents in the tournament so far. Tommy, start off our picks here for the matchup: Brendan Patrick versus Majin Bey.
So last I checked, this is a Flesh and Blood tournament and not an NFT tournament. So I'm going to take Majin Bey.
Majin Bey has qualified for both Pro Tours in Flesh and Blood, which is more than I can say for myself. That being said, Brendan Patrick is my pick here because I am looking for blood in the Arsenal Pass showdown in the next round. So Brendan Patrick for me. Logan.
These matches are on camera, and Brendan Patrick has lost to Jordan Kennedy on camera. So we're just going to go ahead and take Majin Bey here.
Jordan Kennedy, are you going to is Brendan going to be shook because he knows you're picking, or what? What we got?
I'm a transitive property fan, so I'm going to take Brendan Patrick to beat Majin Bey. If only that would mean that I'm better than Majin Bey. So
there you go, linear champion Jordan. Adam, what we got?
You know what? I got to go with Brendan Patrick on this one. I think he's got the edge.
Excellent, Abby.
I am with you, Pat, on the Arsenal Pass showdown, and so I've got Brendan Patrick.
Excellent. That rounds up our opening matches here. I want to spend just a couple minutes here highlighting some of the more intriguing matchups in the tournament. Abby, this is kind of off the cuff, but out of all those matchups, which one in the opening rounds, which one are you looking forward to the most?
I am looking forward to Bender Rogers the most. I think that is going to be the best match of the first round.
That's a good one too. I was leaning a little towards Patel and Horspool, but Bender Rogers is right there with me. Logan, what is the matchup with the highest potential for bracket busting?
Folks and Fang. It has to be. Because people sleep on Michael Fang a lot, just in general. The guy is just doing nothing but making runs. I mean, Oldham gets nerfed a little bit with the Pulse Eisenloft ban. He says, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to keep playing Oldham, and still puts up the result. He's just out there and doing his thing at a very high level all the time, and he's a grinder. And I think that type of intellect, that type of thought on the game is a perfect matchup for somebody like Folks, who is an amazing deck builder, but not necessarily the most mechanically sound player in Flesh and Blood. So it's a great way to kind of see what's more important here, the mechanics and the ability to play the game at a high level, or the ability to build the best deck possible and innovate at a high level. And I think that makes this matchup super interesting. And also, a lot of people are going to take Folks in this, and I think that they are sleeping on Fang's ability to control a board state in a game.
Real quick, Jordan, do you think that this tournament's meta will be diverse, or do you think that they're really going to narrow down and it's going to be more of an ice meta with a couple strays from the refugees?
Yeah, that's an interesting question on how you have to analyze how seriously the competitors will take it. Are they going to bring their tech, maybe things that are in the testing pool for Worlds? Or are they going to bring pet decks like Van Sant with Levia? I think we're going to see a diverse meta here. I think we're going to see some pocket picks. I think we're going to see some decks that might be on the fringe for whether they might want to invest time in them for Worlds or not, and then use this tournament kind of as a pre-Worlds testing tune-up to see if there's any sense in even bringing these decks to the table to their test teams. So I expect to see quite a diverse field here, just similar to how we saw a very diverse Nationals season. I expect to see a diverse Goliath Gauntlet.
It is relatively wide open, I think, in my opinion, for best pilot, not necessarily a top deck, will prevail here. Let's let's go. Let's start running down our brackets and pick a winner for this tournament. We are going to start with Abbie. We went through the opening matchups. If you just want to just run through your opening picks real quick and then run it down to the finals.
Yeah, so opening picks, I have Rogers over Bender, Hamilton over Lindquist, Dale over Kroot, Patrick over Majin B, Folks over Fang, DM Armada over Red Zone Rogue, Patel over Horsepool, and Pintor over Van Sant. Completing out the East, I have Hamilton over Rogers in the second round, and I have Hayden Dale winning the Arsenal Pass Showdown. And then I have Hamilton winning and going to the finals. In the West, I have Folks beating DM Armada. I have Pablo Pintor beating Tarek Two Belts. Pablo Pintor going to the finals. And I have my wonderful, wonderful stand friend Pablo Pintor taking it home.
Pintor. Abbie's got Pintor. Biggie and Tupac are super confused, but we all can agree that Pintor is a solid pick. Excellent. Adam, run us down your bracket.
All right. So initially, you know what? There was a lot of matches here where it was a toss-up as to who takes it. And at the end of the day, I think I had to make a lot of choices just based off of what I'd like to see more so than what I think who's the better player, because like a lot of these matchups, they're so evenly matched. Anyway, first off, I had Bender taking it over Rogers. Then we've got Hamilton taking it over Lundqvist, Kroot taking it over Hayden Dale, and then Brendan Patrick taking it over Majin Bay. For the other side, I had Falks taking it over Fang, DM Armada taking it over Red Zone Rogue, Patel over Horsepool, and Pintor over Van Sant. Following that, in the quarterfinals, I've got for Bender versus Hamilton, I've got Bender taking it once again. For Kroot versus Brendan Patrick, we sided with Isaac Kroot, sealing that all-Canadian semifinals there on the one side. On the other side, I've got Matt Folks taking it over DM Armada. And then this one, I wanted to lean with Patel because he's the Canadian choice, but I do think Pintor takes it over Patel, and Pintor goes on to the semifinals. For the semifinals between Bender and Kroot, this one, I had to decide one Canadian over the other, and we went with the silent assassin, Isaac Kroot. I've got going to the finals. On the other end, we've got Pintor taking it over Matthew Fowlks. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pintor takes the whole thing. In a Kroot Pintor final, I sided with Pintor. So not all tribalistic here up in Canada.
I think the best part about doing this is like you talking through the matches, and even me like circling my matches. It's like exciting to think about the games that could be played in these different scenarios. Speaking of which, Jordan, lay it down. What do you got?
Yeah, starting over in the West, I have Bender over Rogers, Hamilton over Doa, Kroot over Dale, and Patrick over Majin Bay. Pintor over Van Sant, Patel over Horsepool, DM Armada over Red Zone Rogue, and Michael Fang over Matt Folks. Keeping it in the East for Fang versus DM Armada, I have Fang taking it down. Patel versus Pintor, I have the Spanish Prince conquering the Canadian. And then in that semifinal of Pintor versus Fang, I actually have Fang with the upset going to the finals there, representing the Eastern Conference. I love the data-driven approach, and I think he'll do well there. Back in the West for my, I guess that's the quarterfinals. So we have Bender versus Hamilton. I have Hamilton on that one. That is a coin flip to me, though. In a tournament like this, anything could go. Kroot versus Patrick. I have Kroot taking that one down. For a Kroot versus Hamilton semifinal, I have Hamilton taking it down, and I actually have Hamilton taking the championship with the number one player in the world taking down this tournament.
See, it's exciting. I'm gonna get a little goosebumps thinking about this. Logan, give me more goosebumps. What do you got?
I have it starting off. We're gonna go with the Yuki Lee Bender Matt Rogers matchup here. It's the Canadian. It's Yuki Lee Bender in this case. Michael Hamilton's gonna get this over Doa. My apologies to the DOA there, Jordan. Isaac Crute, the assassin himself, beating up on Hayden Dale. I've got Majin Bay over Brendan Patrick in a camera match. From there, Crute has a distinct advantage over Majin Bay, and Michael Hamilton. Crute will meet in the semifinals, with Hamilton narrowly escaping the grasp of Isaac Crute. On the other side, I've got Michael Fang beating Matthew Folks, DM Armada, Stephen Cookus. We stand Stephen Cookus in this household. Over Red Zone Rogue. We've got Tarek Two Belts over Tyler Horsepool, and Pablo Pintor himself over Ethan Van Sant. We've got Pintor moving on to the semifinals over Tarek Two Belts, with Michael Fang dispatching DM Armada. Sorry, Steven, we don't stand you that hard. And then we have Pablo Pintor over Michael Fang, meeting Michael Hamilton in the finals. And I have Pablo Pintor theoretically upsetting Michael Hamilton to win the Goliath Gauntlet and force currency conversions.
Hamilton Pintor matchup, the dream, completed via Logan's bracket. Next up, I'll go. We'll start on the West. The Matt Rogers upset over Yuki Lee Bender. If for nothing else, because I very much disrespected him by not including him in the poll for the Combat Chain about the best player in the world. So the apology tour begins. We have Hamilton over Lundqvist in a pretty lopsided matchup. We have Hayden Dale taking the matchup over Isaac Crute because I love drama and stories. I have Brendan Patrick taking the matchup over Majin Bay. For the West quarters, we have Matt Rogers versus Michael Hamilton. We have Hamilton taking a very close one from Matt Rogers, and we have the Arsenal Pass showdown: Hayden Dale versus Brendan Patrick. Brendan Patrick on the Last Hurrah Revenge Tour takes it over Hayden Dale and goes to the Western Conference Finals. It is a Hamilton Patrick Western Conference Finals, and Brendan Patrick, just before casting the Worlds, takes it over Michael Hamilton and is in the finals for the championship of the Goliath Gauntlet. We're going to go over to the East now. Folks over Fang. Fang is good, Folks is better. DM Armada versus Red Zone Rogue. We have Red Zone Rogue taking it over DM Armada in what some would say is an upset. I would not. Patel over Horsepool, as I talked before. He's a good-looking doctor with great arms, and can't stop the good-looking train from going through that tunnel. We have Pablo Pintor versus taking it over Ethan Van Sant. In the quarterfinals, Folks takes it over Red Zone Rogue. In a pretty the feel-good story ends pretty abruptly for Kellen against Folks there. Patel versus Pablo Pintor in my bracket is probably the matchup I'm looking forward to most if this happens, and I have Patel taking it over Pintor in the quarterfinals, which puts us into a Folks Patel Eastern Conference Finals matchup, and Matt Folks takes it over Team Dragon Shield member Patel, leading a Brendan Patrick versus Matt Folks finals where one man feeling betrayed from his former testing team partner finally takes the glory away from Brendan Patrick just when victory is at his at the cusp, right? He's on the summit, and Matt Folks takes it away from Brendan Patrick and wins the Goliath Gauntlet tournament in my bracket. Go Matt Folks. Tommy, tell me about your
it's a great story, Pat, and like most stories, it's fiction. So I have Yuki Lee Bender over Rogers here in the Western Conference. I have Hamilton over Doa. I have Hayden Dale over Isaac Crute. I have Majin Bay over Brendan Patrick. And then into the quarters on the Western Conference, we have Bender versus Hamilton. This is a big match, and I think I have Hamilton winning this one. And then next, we have Hayden Dale versus Majin Bay. I think Hayden Dale, kind of out edges Majin Bay here. And then for the semis, it is Hamilton and Hayden Dale. Hayden Dale, you're hot, but you're not that hot. Hamilton takes this one, goes to the finals. And then in the Eastern Conference, we have Folks versus Fang. I have Fang taking this one. And then next we have Armada versus the Rogue. And we have Armada beating the Rogue here. Then we have Patel versus Horsebull. We have Tarek. Two-belt Tark as he's been called so far, taking that. And then I have Ethan Van Sant beating the possible best player in the world, Pablo Pintor. And then on to the quarters, we have Fang versus Armada. I have Fang handling the DM pretty well. And then we have Patel versus Van Sant. I got to go with Van Sant here. If I'm picking him to beat Pablo, he's got to beat Patel. Then in the semis, we have Fang playing Van Sant. I do have Fang winning here, though. The buck stops there, Ethan. I'm sorry. And in the finals, I have Hamilton ultimately beating Michael Fang for the championship.
In what quite possibly could be the longest match in Flesh and Blood history.
2.5 hours.
Untimed, 18 cycles.
Oh my God.
Excellent. A lot of interesting brackets. It'll be very interesting to see how this all pans out. The first matches air this Friday night. We're recording this on the 10th, which means on October 14th, the first matches go up on 983 Media. And a very exciting tournament will be started then. Hey, that's we got there. We got through it. I want to thank the panel for joining us here at the Bracket Breakpoint, the Goliath Gauntlet Tournament Special. We're gonna wrap up with plugs because we all have shit we got to plug. We'll start with Tommy because you're on my visual clockwise, and we'll go from there.
Well, thank you for having me on. This is a ton of fun. You can find me at the Fresh and Buds podcast. You can also probably find, everybody on this panel has been on the podcast at this point, and they're all wonderful people, and I love them. You can find me on Twitter at Fresh Buds Pod, YouTube, Spotify, all that, John. So, yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Jordan, you're next. What you got?
Yeah, sure. I'm on the Flesh and Pod podcast, which I'm sure you'll hear a couple of times. We release new episodes every Tuesday. We're on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Podbean. If your newspaper played audio, we'd be in there. Thank you very much for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I'm very excited for these matches. Pat, this was a great idea.
Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Adam, who are you? Where can we find you?
I am the other half of the combat chain. Pat's going to do a bunch of our plugs, but you can find me at FomTooleryTCG on Twitter.
Excellent. Abby, you're up here with me now.
So I am also a member of the Flesh and Pod podcast. Our group Twitter is at FleshPod. And then my personal Twitter is at AbbieD83. If you love possums, that's the place to be.
Okay, sure. Excellent. I like possums. Sure. Logan, what do you got?
You are one of the more on the rails individuals if you were on our show, which is Flesh and Pod, where you can routinely see if I can go an entire 30 seconds without dropping an F-bomb. So far, I have yet to succeed. And you can also find me on Twitter at Logan Peterson. I'm also very active in the Flesh and Pod Discord, where we engage in a lot of actual tomfoolery, maybe some fomtoolery too at some point in time. Who knows? But the antics and bullshit we get up to is pretty legendary at this point in time. So please join us, have some fun, and again, listen to Flesh and Pod. every Tuesday on all of the relevant podcast apps, and the ones that aren't. The Podbean story actually involves Tommy, Adam, and myself, where we were all sitting next to an individual in, I believe it was Vegas.
Yeah.
And we're talking about our individual podcasts, 3 different podcasts. And the guy goes, "Oh, cool. Are you on Podbean?" And every single one of us goes, "What the fuck is a Podbean?" And so these, like, Adam is playing his match.
There's the F-bomb. We got the first.
Oh, yes, got one. Yeah. So Tommy was like, "I don't even know what that is." And I'm Googling. I'm like, "Am I on Podbean?" I'm like, "Oh, I am. Okay, cool. Check that one up." There's the Combat Chain. All right, we're 2 for 2. Hey, Tommy's on there too. So Podbean's good. We're good to go. And the guy's like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll listen to all of you." I'm like, "Fantastic. That worked out." But yeah, that's a little non sequitur of my own. And really, Pat, if you want to come off the rails at some point in time, come hang out with us. That's all we ever do.
Absolutely. Hey, it is my middle name. So anytime you want me to just derail your pod, I'm happy to do so.
At Rails Smash Good. That is a hell of a name. We can't wait for that to happen in real life.
Happy wife, happy life, as they say. I am.
I get that reference.
I'm sorry. Ashley, I'm sorry. I am Patrick Shaw. I am the host of the Combat Chain. You can find us on YouTube at the Combat Chain. You can find us on Twitter at the Combat Chain. You can find myself at Pat Smashgood, and you can find this video on that channel hopefully before the first match airs on Friday. I got a lot of editing to do. So we are going to call it a night. And, fuck it. We're going to do it. Okay. All right, everybody. I don't know if you don't know, now you're going to know real quick here. I'm going to say until next time. And then we're all going to say, we are closing the Combat Chain. This is the biggest outro we've ever done. All right. Everyone get what's going on? Do they need like a practice run? I'm going to say until next time. And we're all going to say, we're closing the Combat Chain. All right. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Thank you to the expert panel, and this concludes the Bracket Breakpoint, the Goliath Gauntlet Tournament Special. And until next time, we're closing the Combat Chain. I'm gonna cry. That was very good. That was great. Fantastic. Awesome.